Japan's first ever photographer has been almost completely forgotten. And part of that was his own doing. He buried several hundred of his glass plate photographs in the ground next to the grave he'd be buried in, and with it, his legacy.
They were a worm feast for all that time.
But thanks to the efforts of a few photo historians, and not one but two excavations half a century apart, he's now belatedly getting the recognition he almost destroyed. This is the story of Ukai Gyokusan. In 1860, as Japan emerged from centuries of self-imposed isolation, Ukai Gyokusan, at that point an antique collector, encountered the new foreign import of photography. Immediately, he spotted an opportunity, and in 1861 set up Japan's first ever professional photography studio in Edo, now known as Tokyo. He called it Aishindo, the Hall of True Images, where his use of the ambrotype photographic process, which used glass plate negatives, allowed him to hand his customers a copy of their portrait almost instantly.
You didn't need additional darkroom equipment to worry about making prints. There's only one copy of this. This was a little treasure that they had, you know.
For 8 years he photographed samurai, nobles and other cultural elites, but then he abruptly closed down the studio at the age of 62 to return to his first love of antiques.
Photography is so easy for getting damaged.
Yeah.
He loved old one.
Yeah.
That's why he stopped the photography.
A decade or so later, he buried hundreds of his remaining glass plate photos in the ground.
He passed away not long after that. Was about 4 years afterwards.
But for a knowledgeable antique collector, to this day nobody really understands why he didn't do more to protect them.
I just can't even fathom putting a negative into the ground, just how that would destroy the image. It's just unbelievable. But man, you just wiped out a lot of your history. It's kind of sad, but in a strange way, there's kind of a poetry to that. I don't know.
So there they lay for 70 odd years until 1956, when a team of photography experts decided to dig up the mound, searching for the glass plates.
Finally, Ukai was getting some serious recognition.
探求心があって人のお墓を掘っちゃうっていうのはすごいなと思うけど。
They found 100 or so plates, but their joy was short-lived. Almost immediately they started cracking and disintegrating. They hurriedly put about 80 of them back, salvaging only around 17 or 18 images. Of those, almost none made it into the public domain. And so, Ukai's forgotten legacy was laid to rest once more. That was until 50 years later, in 2009, when yet another excavation was arranged, this time with Torin and Naomi in tow. But this one was even less successful.
I finally found this one shard of glass, and that was the only thing that was found right here.
It's thought that the intact glass plates found in 1956 are likely to be with Ukai's descendants.
After the great-grandson died, it was a dead-end trail. We didn't know how to contact the family anymore.
And so it remained, until in early 2025, Naomi was contacted by the estate of a photography enthusiast who wanted to donate some very prized images.
These aren't the originals, but these are copies of them.
そういう意味では知らなかった写真がたくさん見られるっていうことがすごく貴重な。これらの写真はすごく希少で大切なものです。
And suddenly, through Ukai's eyes, we can see a much deeper glimpse into 19th century Japan. And rather than a mere footnote in Japanese history, his compositions demonstrate a man ahead of his time, rather than one chasing it.
I think that he was a really artistic, talented photographer because he's doing techniques that you don't see so much in early Japanese photography. And so what I mean by that is this picture here, the sitter is looking away from the camera, he's looking towards the side of the frame. And that's something that you just don't really see so much by his contemporaries of that day.
古い絵とかが鑑識に興味があって、すごく絵とかの構図を勉強してたと思う。だからこういったなんかちょっと変わったポーズを作って撮影したんだと思う。絵画的な写真を作ったんだと思うんだけど。
A poem on his tombstone starts like this: "The world chases novelty. He alone revered the ancient." There's a certain irony that this pioneer of Japanese photography, who revered antiques to such an extent that he ditched the new photographic fad, has now been the subject of a long chase to recover his buried images, themselves now antiques.
Not only was a pioneer, he was a truly Japanese photographer. Photography for the Japanese by a Japanese, which was very rare in those days.
だから江戸に写真館がたくさんできるきっかけにもなった。そういう意味ではすごく写真が日本人に普及するのに貢献した人だと。
He's the guy. He's the very first guy. I mean, that's it.